Okay. For the new folks here, my name is Angy Abreu, and I'm the founder of the Dominican Writers Association, which is the arm under which you're signing up for the Sunday Writer Salons. And the Sunday Writer Salons are here every Sunday at 11 a.m. So today I almost didn't host it because it's my son's 16th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday in October, baby.
And he didn't want to do anything but play his Spider-Man game.
Oh, wish him happy birthday from
And
us.
I was like, you know what? I respect that. You get to spend your day how you want to spend your day. I'll order you breakfast. You could play your Spider-Man game all day if you wish. You get to spend it how you want to spend it. And then tomorrow he wants to go get his permit test,
Oh,
which I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't want you to, but I'll be there.
oh.
But thank you everyone for the birthday wishes. Um, a reminder, November 1st, we're hosting the virtual event with literacy partners with Julia Alvarez and Concepcion de Leon. And then November 8th through the 9th, I believe, is the marathon reading of How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent. You could find some more information on our Instagram account, or if you go to the Lit Partners Instagram account as well. It's a replay of a conversation we hosted last year, and you could catch up on it and enjoy the marathon reading. It's going to be about 15 well-known, famous Latina authors who are going to take part of the marathon reading.
Ooh, how exciting.
Okay, and besides that, the Dominican Book Fair is November 3rd, 4th, and 5th in New York City, in the Bronx, at Lehman College. I will be sending more information in tomorrow's newsletter, along with the program, I hope, but I have to remember that I'm working with the Ministry of DR, and they are on DR time. I would have announced this a month ago, but they're sending it out tomorrow, like a week before it starts. But whatever, it's getting done. We are within the book fair. We have quite a few activities. We have an open mic and a couple of readings, as well as participating in some panels. And what else? We have a children's area. So if you got kids, nephew, nieces, whatever, bring them through, because we will have a children's area where they can partake in author readings from, authors, and be able to purchase books and take part of arts and crafts activities that are specifically for them. What else? Oh, as part of the book fair, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? That's 25th, 26th, 27th. I will be busy hosting 3 writing workshops in Spanish for any of you who wish to join, or if you know any writer who only publishes in Spanish who wishes to join. Wednesday's workshop is going to be about using AI for your writing. There's going to be another workshop on marketing and promoting your books on a budget. And then there's going to be another workshop on how to publish and within the US. So if you know anyone, I will post more information later on our Instagram account. But if you go to, when you signed up for the writer salon, you probably saw the 3 workshops. They're like yellow flyers, white and yellow flyers. So those are the 3 workshops. Right now we have about 45 people or more registered for each one. The AI one is the one that people are mostly interested about, and I'm excited about, because I love AI. So now I get to teach all these folks how to use it, for their writing. So if you want to join and you speak Spanish and you're, I'm gonna be there in English, in Spanglish. I got a presentation, but still, I'm gonna wing this. If you know anyone who might be interested, definitely share with them. It is completely free, and it's under the programming of the Dominican Book Fair, because I thought it was important to include those. So let's see. Who are the new folks here? Cesar, I don't think I've seen you before. Would you like to introduce yourself? Are you there? No. Jahaira, are you new? Jahaira Torres.
I am. Hi, good morning.
Hi, Jahaira.
Hi.
You're new to the space, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay. What motivated you to come through today of all
Today, because I get the emails and last week I noticed that I missed it and I'm like, I just had to make sure. But I've been furiously at it, writing and I community and all. So
Nice.
yes.
Okay. And Cesar, if you don't want to speak or unmute yourself, you could introduce yourself in the chat. Yeah, Eduardo, we could talk a little bit more about that, definitely. Cesar says es su primera vez usando Zoom. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, si estás en la computadora, Cesar, on the bottom left, there's a little mic. If you touch it, it can mute and unmute you and you could speak. But you're doing great in the chat. Okay, so let me find this presentation. Where is it? Okay. Oh, Rosita isn't here yet. Okay, so let us share. Let me share. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so today we're talking about Borderlands, and it's a creative exploration of identity and culture. Okay, and this is based on Gloria Anzaldúa. How many of you know the work of Gloria? Gloria, you better know her work as a fellow Chicana.
Absolutely. She's one of our icons.
Right? So Gloria Anzaldúa is born in 1942 in a vibrant, complex region of Rio Grande Valley of Texas. Her experiences growing up in Mexico-Texas border profoundly influenced her perspective and her writing. She was not only a writer, but also a scholar activist committed to dismantling oppressive structures and reshaping the way we think about identity and culture. Gloria Anzaldúa's most famous work, Borderlands, La Frontera, The New Mestiza, published in 1987, is our guiding star today. I highly recommend that you purchase that book because it not only applies to Chicanas, it's just Latinos in in all spaces. And as a Dominican, I can relate so much with Gloria's work. Um, I have this book is a wonderful, wonderful literary work. It is semi-autobiographical. Masterpiece explores the intricate web of identity, the struggle of Chicana lesbians, and the intersections of gender, culture, and colonialism. Okay, so the main objective of this workshop is we're going to explore your identity. We'll encourage you to examine the borders you navigate in your own life. These borders can be cultural, linguistic, gender related, or deeply personal. Through creative activities, you'll reflect on how these borders shape your sense of self. We are going to engage in reflective writing, delve into prompts to help you contemplate your own experiences related to these borders. You'll have the opportunity to write poems or stories or essays that express your thought and or emotions. Give me a sec, please. Hello? Okay, thanks. Give me a second, guys. Brandon. So sorry, folks. And we're also going to reimagine cultural narratives, touching Anzaldúa's exploration of cultural narratives, including the three mothers from Mexican culture, La Llorona, La Malinche, and Our Lady of Guadalupe. You'll reimagine their stories from a modern perspective, allowing you to engage with the rich tapestry of culture and history. Okay, now, Gloria Anzaldúa's concept of border in her work, particularly in Borderlands, La Frontera, the new Mestiza, is not just a physical or geographical boundary, but a multifaceted representation of the complex intersection of identity, culture, and experience. Her border is symbolic of the spaces and divisions that individuals encounter and navigate in their lives. Anzaldúa's border encompasses several key aspects. Among those borders are these four. So when I talk to you about borders, these are the four borders that I'll be referring to, okay? Cultural border refers to the intersection of different cultures, languages, and traditions. Anzaldúa herself grew up in Mexico. Texas border, where Mexican and American cultures were converged. This cultural border is often a place of richness, but can also lead to conflicts and challenges as individuals negotiate their identities within multiple cultural contexts. I'm sorry about the door slamming. Here we also have linguistic border, where Anzaldúa uses multiple languages, including English and various Spanish dialects, illustrating the linguistic borders that she faced. Language is the powerful tool for communication, but it can also be a barrier, especially when individuals must navigate between different languages and dialects. Anzaldúa speaks a lot about being true to our native language and not how do we say this, catering to colonial how do I say this, just the English,
The whitewashing.
the whitewashing. If you speak English, if you're Spanglish, speak as you speak and be, authentic, right? She also speaks about gender border, where she explores gender expectations and norms that shape individuals' identity. She challenges traditional gender roles and discusses the oppression faced by Chicana lesbians. The gender border represents the societal norms and expectation that often limit self-expression and individuality, which I think we could also relate to, right? Then you have personal border. Beyond the cultural, linguistic, and gender border, Anzaldúa's work also delves into personal borders. These can be internal struggles, emotional conflicts, or personal challenges that individuals face in their lives, right? So Anzaldúa was known for identity mapping, where she would do, this is an example of how she would do the borders and within the identity mapping, and it is a symbolic representation of those borders, right? It's a visual and creative way to help individuals explore and express the different facets of their identity. Participants in the workshop, you're encouraged to create your own identity maps using colors, symbols, and words to represent the borders you navigate in your lives. For example, an identity map might include a depiction of the Mexican American flags or whatever background you come from, intersecting to represent your cultural border, right? It might use a mix of English and Spanish or any other language you may speak to illustrate your linguistic diversity. Additionally, symbols or images might represent personal experiences or challenges related to gender, culture, or identity. In essence, Anzaldúa's border and identity maps serve as a powerful metaphor for the complexity of human identity and the myriad influence that shape who we are. They invite us to explore and reflect upon our own borders and the unique intersections of our personality. So here on this map, you see this little house. It says identity always under construction, right? And then she used old ID, La Luna. She also wrote, I don't know how to pronounce it, Coyocuaque, Nepangla. So these are all Mexican indigenous terms, breaking down, taking apart, and dismembering, and then reconstructing self.
I'm not familiar with, I think that's Natwa, the Natwa language.
The Natwa?
Yeah, I believe that's.
Well, she says here Nepantla, and then the one on top says Coyolsauqui.
Yeah, from the indigenous. I know in the Southwest, there's a big movement to break down Spanish and go embrace Natwa. So
Good. Good. Okay, so let's move into activity 1, guys. Mapping your border. We're gonna do 15 minutes of this. Take a moment to look at the blank space on the worksheet. Pick a blank piece of paper. Imagine it as a canvas where you can express your own unique identity. You can use colors, symbols, and words to represent different aspects of yourself. Consider the borders you encounter daily or those that have shaped your sense of self. Then you're going to do a writing reflection. This is all within the 15 minutes, okay? Once you've created your identity map, focus on one of the borders you've drawn. It could be a significant cultural boundary, a linguistic border, or any other border that resonates with you. And the writing prompt is, in a few sentences, reflect on the significance of this border in your life. How has it influenced your sense of self? What challenges and opportunity do you associate with this border? Are we good? Did I get too deep?
Super deep.
But
Very
you guys
good.
are all good with the activity?
Yeah.
You get it? You understood the borders? If you want me to go back to the previous slide on what they are.
Yep.
So you have culture, language, gender, and personal. I'm just going to leave your activity right here, and we'll be back in 15. So Carmen, I think you just came in, right? So right now we're doing an activity, so I'll show you the slides. We're speaking about borders based on Gloria Anzaldúa's book Borderlands, La Frontera, and you could read this. Are you there? Are you able to catch up?
Angie,
Yes.
Jennifer. So then after the drawing, then we do the 15-minute, then we do
Then you
right.
do the writing reflection and you use the writing prompt at the bottom.
Okay, thanks.
One more minute, folks. I wonder if this Zoom thing has a timer. Oh, it certainly does have a timer. Can y'all see the timer?
No, I can't.
You can't?
No.
No.
No, it's asking me show it to all, and I am.
Maybe if you share your screen.
No, it's within the Zoom. So you have to, I guess if you guys open your whole Zoom thing, like stretch it out, you might see it.
Maybe it's a notification. So maybe set like a 1 minute timer and let's see if we see it.
Yeah, let me. How about now? No, I popped it out. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Okay, guys, time is up. Who wants to share? I'm so curious about what you guys did.
I'll share, but my webcam's not working, unfortunately. I don't know what's, I've been messing with it most of
Alright.
the week, we're trying to figure out. But
I
for
wanted
me-
to see your map.
I know, I don't know how I'm gonna show it to you. I guess describe it. So I drew some stop signs. I drew a hard hat, and a saw and a female symbol. I drew dollar signs. I have written some words, like, you know, wife and mom and daughter and sister and a Dominican flag and the word struggle. So in sort of, I wish that I could show, I really do. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on with my laptop, but so in focusing, as the prompt said, on one of the borders, mainly is being a woman in construction. And I've
Your
been
gender.
yeah. So I've been in the field now for about almost 20 years. And it's really forced me to, you know, to almost daily struggle with barriers. As quickly as as I tear them down, others emerge. So I have to fight, I have to fight for a voice. I think right now I'm in the best position that I've ever been in within that industry. But I have to, it's been exhausting to try to evolve and grow in strength, to be able to rise to the level of my male colleagues. And I'm a small, queer Dominican chick, and I'm naturally a shy and not a whole lot of pushback comes out of me naturally. But right now I've sort of had to, if I'm gonna, stay and stick it through, not just for me, but for all the women coming behind me. And so they know how to carry themselves and not allow themselves to be silenced, and know your craft, know where you want to be, how far you want to take it. Look at those people and don't settle for where you are and thinking that that's, this is a comfortable enough place, I have a seat at the table. No, you have to run it. You have to be the one. So yeah, so you know, I wish that I could show the same fortitude to that, you know, with other barriers like, you know, childhood trauma and things like that, but those barriers are like almost impenetrable at times, you know, but it has shown me resiliency and possibilities. So
Got it.
yeah.
I'm glad that you're not allowing those barriers to tear you down,
No,
and that you still have the fortitude to keep going and continue to tear them down.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, Gloria, you wanted to share?
I
I-
did,
Show
I
us
did.
your map, Gloria. I want to see your map.
Oh, I didn't really make a good map.
Good in your eyes might be exceptional in ours.
I don't
Hold
think
it.
it's, I don't
Oh,
think you
your
could.
screen is blurred. I think
It's
it's because
blurred.
you have a
Oh,
filter in your background,
okay.
so it's not letting us see it. Guys, I'm not asking you for like Michelangelo-esque identity mapping. You can use stick figures.
All these people, perfectionism was,
Right. No.
one of those things drilled into us, having to be better.
Yes.
It was
Latinos,
harder to
yes.
show up to be
People
noticed.
of color always have to excel above and beyond in everything.
I don't know how to, what I have is me in the middle, and I wish I could do this quickly, and I'm not too technology. It's me in the middle, and then I crossed out my face because I feel like there's been a lot of confusion about being born in the United States, and so being here, but not being from here, not being accepted, and feeling that all my life.
Got it. So you chose the cultural border.
The cultural border, but then also I also chose the religious border, which is just as confusing because we went to, and I have two churches there, because we went to the American church and the Spanish church.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I
What's
need.
an American church?
It's where it's American, they all speak English. Mostly white
Oh,
people.
okay.
It was all white people, and that was the church we went
I'm trying to think of white religions. Like, what
to
are,
seventh.
because we have I mean, every religion I know is mostly of color except for the Mormons, right? Were they people of color who started them?
No, I don't think so. But the Seventh-day Adventist Church is very conservative, and it really started. They said a Black woman started it, but it's an evangelical church. So and it's one of the richest churches. So the white church was where very middle class, upper middle class, where we were drilled into. And we were like only two. My aunt went there with her family. We went there, but it was all white. So it was really nice. And they had beautiful cars and everyone dressed really nice, but we were not included or embraced.
What made you guys go to that church instead of the Spanish church?
It was my
What was the
mom.
motivation behind that?
No idea. My mom made the decisions.
Was it acceptance, validation?
I think for my mom was probably aspiration, validation, but when she wanted to feel love, we went to Spanish church. And that's where she felt more comfortable. She spoke Spanish, people embraced her, they knew her family, but we didn't know Spanish. So for me, it was torture.
Got it.
And a lot of shaming, because the church ladies would say, "Ay, no hablas español, no tienes vergüenza." So it was for me, I think that is not feeling marginalized in both churches.
Is there a reason why your parents didn't teach you Spanish?
Yes, because in California, it was the English only. So in California, it was structurally racism. You think about a border state, they don't think about California's a border state, and racism was entrenched. So both my parents, who were bilingual, they were told, do not teach your children Spanish because they need to be perfect English speakers. And there was a lot of racism. You grew up every day being ashamed of being Mexican. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing, Gloria. Who's next? Geraldine, you showing us our map in another screen.
Yes, I'm trying. Exactly. I was trying to prepare myself. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, that's good.
Okay,
I,
good. All right.
I'm doing it with my
I
phone.
see
So
Geraldine use her little stick figures. Look at the little girl with the skirt.
Girl, you
Yes.
got graph paper? Dang.
no,
Great.
it's just okay. I think this is good enough. So basically, the triangle is Cameroon,
Okay.
and then we have books,
Mhm.
and maybe I'll try to put the sound on mine so I can see what I'm showing you. So I was saying, so, too many sounds, excuse me.
Mute one of them, Geraldine.
Get feedback. Yeah.
You're muted. You gotta mute the other on your device. Mute one
I think
device.
this is better, right?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So I was saying Cameroon, books, Switzerland, Italy. My husband is Italian. And yes, the little girl is behind bars because because of gender oppressions.
Oh my God.
Yes, sorry. And then there's music and Great Britain. I'm trying to show with the little crown and the American flag. And basically me dancing around all those borders.
Hmm.
That
Dancing.
was my idea.
Why dancing?
So I don't know. This is it, right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Why did you so what are the challenges and opportunities you associate with your border, Geraldine?
um,
Choose one and let us know the
I
challenges.
chose. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna stop here, so that will be easier. Thank you. Great. So, oh my God. Sorry. There. There. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I chose the language border, the way the different languages I speak or was exposed to, how they shaped me and how they allow me to be part of communities that are bigger than myself. And yeah, that's what I was playing with, like the fact that because I can speak French without the French, because I come from Cameroon, I grew up in Africa, right? But I live in Switzerland, and because I speak French without an African accent, people think that I was born here in Switzerland. So that means they relate to me differently than if they thought I grew up in Africa. So I thought of the languages that I speak as sort of like a chameleon skin, how they allow me to blend in and navigate between different communities. But I'm still a chameleon. My form is still what it is. And I was thinking of my ethnic language in Cameroon called Bafia, how it's in my blood, and how when I interact with Black people from America, for example, who've been taken away from Africa a long time ago, well, I find aspects of my culture, of how I grew up, which are still there in people who are 500 years removed from mine, if I can say it like that. And I thought how the languages we speak can cross borders and manifest in unexpected ways and remind us that, oh, wait, I have people there, even if we are separated by other things.
Okay, so Jahaira has a question for you in the chat.
I'm sorry?
Oh, now I have echo.
Yeah, I asked on your chat if being a chameleon is like a comfortable place for you to be in. Is that something that you just do because it works and it makes it like easier to navigate things? Or is that like your default setting?
I think it's both. Like that's why I put the bars on the little girl depiction. Like I need to be able to embrace different realities. The only issue, like to express myself fully, the only issue is that this world requires me to take away my Blackness. So in that sense, sometimes I use it because I have to, but it's also a part of who I am to be all those things.
I work in mostly white spaces, so I think I can completely understand.
The code switching, right? In a
The
way.
code switching, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Geraldine. Jennifer, you want to go now? Show us your art, Jennifer.
Okay. I want extra
Your
because
camera is off.
Okay. I went extra because my deep self is extra self.
Oh, wow, she went in.
Yes.
That's
I'm
great.
so extra.
Wow. That reminds me of Carol G's album. So
Yes,
you should color it in and put it on a t-shirt.
You did that in 15 minutes?
I did. I was like,
What she was doing in her 15. That's why Jennifer was asking. Wait, we need to write because she was into the drawing part.
yeah. And you might hear some really crazy sound because my son is playing with his cousin on FaceTime. So,
Go ahead.
okay. So I am Caribbean. I'm from the Dominican Republic. And this is a representation of that, right? El Caribe. And these are my that's me. And these are my two sisters.
Those are some scary looking girls.
I know.
Oh my God.
And then I have words that says unsafe and inestabilidad, which is unstable, and then a bunch of other stuff. And then we travel, right? Migrate to the United States. And then I'm happy here because it feels like, more safe, more calm. But then I'm like confused about everything, the language. I speak very mixed Spanglish, enredado, like it's MS, so I'm still under construction.
So which border did you choose to write about? What are the challenges you were supposed
Linguistic
linguistic? Okay.
and culture and I put the
Personal.
church
Oh my
here's
God.
darker and then here's just lighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh wow. See,
What?
we have a lot of things in common. Who's next? Mireya. Unmute yourself, Mireya.
Hello, I'm next.
Mireya had markers. Look at
Oh my gosh. Well, clearly I was not ready for this, so I spent the first 3 to 5 minutes going to look for all my supplies. So I don't know if you can see, I pinned Jennifer so I can see her drawing a little clearer. So mine is not as elaborate or detailed as hers.
Okay.
But
Walk us through it.
but I need color. I need color when I do pictures so that like the things don't get blurred. And basically I only did a couple of pictures and
Flag.
put a Mexican flag because proudly Mexican, and I put the little bear for the state of California because I love my state. Identified female, brown heart for brown girl. And you can't really see my plantitas because I would have spent the whole day just drawing plants, but I couldn't find the right markers for it, for like really just connection to earth, and with my sad little earth there, I couldn't fit all the continents. And my phrase that I wrote in the middle is aquí se habla Spanglish, translanguaging. And I said at this time, the border that stands out the most is the linguistic border. As a first-gen Chicana who is bilingual, biliterate, and as a mom of 3 boys who search for support to continue and reinforce Spanish, it was nearly impossible. And this was like in the early 2000s. I said, I've seen I've seen the pendulum swing, and I've seen vocal empowerment of folks who appreciate and value its importance, and parents who also know how easily a second language can be lost in one generation. This led me to birth Mariposa Language Immersion, but I'm working on being more visible in this social media landscape, where so many folks are now embracing it and offering services. And because they understand the value of it. I didn't get to finish the writing because I was busy looking for all the tools to color. But basically, that one just sticks out to me more. My kids are getting older, and we just dropped off my son at college. So that's why I slept in, because we drove in late from San Diego last night. But this is a real big one for me. I grew up in a area of LA that gave me a lot of protective. What did I wrote? I said how and where I grew up were protective factors, like to stay proud and very rooted in my culture. I said even when I saw assimilation that created shame, and denial of language and culture for a lot of families who grew up in the same environment. Obviously, that had to do with, you know, whatever their family dynamics were, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, and I think if I didn't have this space here to just sit down and dedicate some time, these are things that are always in my head. So just kind of, it was nice to put it on paper. And yeah, and you know, my kids, you know, they aren't fluent. My oldest one is probably the most fluent, but I think that because we've led with love and empowerment with it, not like you must, right? The way even my parents were, you must, because that's not going to work either. So it's just a lot of love and just watching him still continue his journey. He's taking classes at the university, and he's enjoying it. He's like, Mom, I love it. She's amazing. So I feel like maybe that's just my calling in this lifetime here, to just kind of, you know, stay on that path. And now, even though my kids are getting older, I want to be that bridge and support to families with young children.
Wow, congratulations. Thank you for that wonderful work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your map. Carol, am I pronouncing your name correct?
Yeah, it's both Cari or Carol.
Caril or Carol. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with the Spanish. Okay, Caril, you have your binaries. You want to share?
Yeah. Wait, so am I showing my map, or should I just say
Yeah,
it?
we want to see your map.
I did it digitally.
Okay.
So, oh wait,
A ver.
blur. I mean, I'm like, how do you
I
unblur?
think, yeah, you have to go into your video settings and remove the blur. See, people up in here got skills.
I'm like, wait, what?
Or try holding the phone a little bit further from the screen so that we can see it.
I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, you gotta click on the little arrow where it says video, and you click on video settings. You go to background and effects, scroll up and remove the background. Just choose none.
I'm here. I'm like in the video settings, but it doesn't show that for me.
What does it show?
Girl,
you're upside down.
I can't.
Okay, try holding the phone.
Okay, let me see.
The phone again. Pero don't
Not, I can share my screen because it's also on my screen. I don't have to.
Okay, just hold on. Let me give you screen sharing.
Wait, does it show on the phone? Oh, it doesn't.
No, is that you putting it too close to the camera. There you go.
Oh, okay.
There.
Okay.
If we pin her, I think if we pin her, we can see her better.
Don't put it closer to your face. Don't move it towards the there. Yeah, right. How do you pin her? Oh, let's see. Oh, beautiful.
That's so pretty.
Quédate ahí, Cari. Right there. That is now, Cari, you're gonna have to come back and we need to do a workshop with you.
Okay, I just unblurred the background. I'm so sorry.
Because your digital images are on fire. Oh my God.
Pretty.
I want to see them. They were great.
So I don't know if you guys can see, but if you can't.
Oh, nice.
I've focused on a couple different things, but just 3 different things that I feel like are like major barriers and borders that are in my life currently. The biggest one that I focused on the writing was God's will versus my mental health. Then I have creating my own way and stability that's expected, like in terms of work. And then I have breaking free from tradition, trying to create my own traditions. And basically the borders that I was focusing on was trying to honor myself, but it's impossible when I'm honoring 2 different identities that don't feel like they're from self. And yet at the same time, they're rooted in who I am. And the one that I focused on the most was God's will versus my mental health, because I feel like, especially the last 2 years, my mental health has shown a lot of different compromising challenges that has been hard for me to navigate when everyone around you is telling you, like, you know, todo vas a pasar, you know, con Dios adelante. And I'm obviously a person who has a lot of faith, and I do believe in that as well. And at the same time, I'm also like, guys, I don't want my experience to be invalidated because it's part of God's will. And because I spent so much time really ingrained in the Catholic Church, especially in my early 20s, a lot of my time was devoted to the Catholic Church. Some of the teachings are really ingrained in me, where I start to question certain things going on because I'm like, no, maybe this is part of God's path or whatever the case is. And then at the same time, I'm like, but my suffering is real.
Right.
And I can't allow myself to continue to suffer in silence because other people want to shut it out and saying that it's just part of the journey. When in reality, I'm asking for help. Like, and I'm asking God for help. God knows. I've been up front. I'm like, mira Dios, ya te conoce. You know me. I see you. You see me. But that's the biggest part that has been focused. Like when I saw this identity map, that's what I saw the most, that I was like, okay, there are parts of me that dishonors my true self, the self that radiates within, the self that I know that fills my creative cup, in order to please cultural homes or cultural standards, as well as traditional standards. And I was like, I gotta do my own thing. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Kari, for sharing. Eduardo, you want to share?
Sure.
Déjame ver tu mapa.
I mean, it's just like chicken scratch. It's not a lot. But instead, I just went off.
It's a brain map.
It's exactly. It's a little think tank. I went off in the writing a little bit. It's gonna get a little heated, but I think that's why I come to these spaces. So here we go. Because today's topic is right on point with exactly what I'm writing. So here's what I'm saying. As I've mentioned multiple times in this space, the problem that I'm finding at this point in my life is how I'm asked to occupy multiple roles, identities, and cultures, and how the expectations of one culture don't always translate to the other. I'm writing a book for my future children because chances are that they will be American, and I don't want them to feel lost upon the world because they have no connection to where they came from, just as I was. There's a very big chance that they will marry outside of their culture, perhaps even marry white. And if they do, I want them to do so from a place of safety and support and not pain or need or self-hate or to refinar la raza. As an immigrant American, I am an immigrant and I am an American. I am an artist and a business person, a romantic and a pragmatist, historically feminine, and late in my life discovering my masculine. My parents did the thing where they went to DR 3 times a year, but there was never any money for us to go. So of course I'm Americanized. Of course I want the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids. But for me to achieve that, I have to co-opt into the way that Americans do things. And the way that Americans do things is by being individualistic and often selfish. Not that I think that that's a bad word. The problem, of course, is that we come from cultures of community, especially when we move from one country to the other, and the family unit depends on everyone in it. Everyone works, women, children, everybody. But why would our parents bring us to this country just to make us feel ashamed for co-opting into the way that they do things and their cultural guidelines? In this culture, I'm behind the schedule because as a 35-year-old man, I don't have any golden parachutes or families to rely on. And I'm seen as a bad, and in the other culture, I'm seen as a bad son for not being there when my dad is literally dying. And it's quite tragic to think about it because ultimately it makes me feel like there was no making anyone happy to begin with. So why did I even bother code switching, people pleasing, and wasting my life away? And then there's gender dynamics. As a man, I am expected to lead my family towards survival. And if I fail at that task, we are all going to die. And despite how progressive and feminist I like to think of myself, white feminism isn't here to pay my rent or defend my family or take care of the roles that other people expect me to fulfill. And when my dad was dying at 61 years old, after decades of literally working himself to death, nobody was there for me. And suddenly I needed to occupy a role that nobody was there to teach me because they too were working. The issue is that when I bring it up that way, if I bring it up that way, people always are quick to say that the issue is that men made the world that way. That men are just operating under the system that was allotted to them, and gaslighting them into a false sense of security isn't helping the problem. Men have no safe space, no guide, no help, because nobody cares about men. Not even other men care about men. And the reason is that there came a point in time when nobody cared about them. And if I wasn't careful and I didn't have my art and my heart and my spirit, it was going to happen to me. And if it happens to me with my love and my creativity, none of you people would stand. Instead, I would learn to turn to the next generation and tell them to man up. Because of course, that's the only thing that was allotted to me. And so suddenly, not only that, but I have to be extremely careful about the kind of people that I let into my life, let alone a partner. Because if you do not understand where I'm coming from, if you do not respect me and my struggles, you literally cannot love me. And regardless of what people say, relationships are about survival. And if I do not feel like I can survive next to you, I won't marry you. I won't have a child with you, and I won't want to be with you. So yet again, I am alone. I'll leave it there, even though I wrote some other notes. But yes,
Oh,
anyway.
boy, Eduardo.
I got a look, but
Wow.
tengo
So
la-
for those
la
who don't
oreja.
know, Eduardo's working on a book.
Wow.
You soon enough, you will be able to read this in a book. But thank you for sharing, Eduardo.
Hmm.
I want to move on to the next activity. So activity 2, turns out that all of you mostly did what activity 2, I thought I was sharing, hold on. Activity 2, a lot of you spoke about the reflected and on the significance of your border in your life and how it influenced your sense of self. So we're going to skip this one and just go into activity 3, which is reimagining the three mothers. In this activity, we explore the cultural narratives of the three mothers from the Mexican culture, La Llorona, La Malinche, and Our Lady of Guadalupe, and engage in a creative exercise that invites you to reimagine their stories from a modern perspective. Before we begin, let's briefly introduce the three mothers. La Llorona, known as the Weeping Woman. Guys, there's songs, there's all kinds of things that portray La Llorona. She is a mythical creature in Mexican folklore who is said to roam the rivers, mourning the loss of her children. Then we have La Malinche, also known as Malinci or Doña Marina. La Malinche was an indigenous woman who played a significant role as an interpreter and advisor during the conquest of Mexico, the Spanish conquest. And then you have Our Lady of Guadalupe, a revered figure in Mexican Catholicism. Our Lady of Guadalupe is believed to have appeared to Juan Diego, an indigenous man in the 16th century. So the activity in this is you have the opportunity to choose one of the three mothers and reimagine her story from a modern perspective. This exercise encourages you to think critically about these cultural narratives and how they might evolve in today's context. So choose one of the three mothers, La Llorona, La Malinche, or Our Lady of Guadalupe, and write a modern interpretation of her story. How might her narrative change or evolve in today's world? What challenges or triumphs might she face in a contemporary context? And as you write, we want you to consider how would this figure interact with the complexities of modern society? What cultural, societal changes might influence her character and choices? And how does her story relate to the themes of identity and culture we've explored in this workshop? I know that sounds like a lot. Take 5 minutes, just get started. You don't need to, how do I say this? We're not gonna do like 15 minutes because we're still at 12:10. So is everybody okay with the exercise? Are you understanding?
Can we see, please,
Questions?
the description again?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are we being graded? 5 minutes, you said? 5 minutes?
Yes. You're
Okay.
definitely not being graded.
Hi.
I'm just gonna go back to the prompts. The writing prompt is How might their narrative change or evolve in today's world? What challenges or triumphs might either of them face? All right, time's up. Okay, so let's have two people share their modern interpretations. Okay, Carmen, do your thing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I kind of wrote it like a little bit like a storyline. So I put for La Llorona. So after the death of her children, La Llorona wanted and needed to spend time roaming around and mourn the loss of her children, but she didn't have the luxury of time on her hand. Instead, she had to get up every morning, go to work, and make sure she continued to put food on the table and keep a roof over her and her mother's head, who was older and sick. La Llorona worked long hours and would commute an hour to and from work, where she was when there was no heavy traffic. But by the time she got home and prepared meals, she was exhausted. Although she would think about her children as she cooked the meals they loved, she would hear her mother in the background moaning in pain from the heart surgery she underwent months earlier. La Llorona would wipe her tears, go into the bathroom and get her mother's medication and would give it to her. And I guess, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. That's a modern take. Who was the other person who raised their hand? Gloria, was it you?
I said I'd go, but
Yeah.
if someone else wants to go, that's fine.
Who's speaking? I can't see who's speaking.
Yahira, she was first, I believe.
Yahira?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Yahira.
Okay, so I just wrote something quickly, and not in a reimaginative way, I guess, like Carmen did, but I think about mothers like mine who had to sacrifice and leave their kids behind in their homeland to come to the US and chase an opportunity. And you know, I didn't live with my mother until I was 11 years old, and that it's a significant goodness, it's something that I still deal with to this day. I can imagine her pain. I can imagine also mothers losing their kids to drugs and violence, or you know, the sunken place, or in my case with my son is mental illness. My son and I have had to end communications. It's been, I don't know, 4 months now that I cannot speak to him for his safety and mine. It has robbed me of a relationship, and I weep daily for that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Thank you for sharing, Yahira. Okay, let's move on to activity 4, guys. So Gloria Anzaldúa's critique of traditional gender norms and colonialist ideals is a central theme in her work as well. And she talks about gender norms, where she critiques norms that enforce rigid roles and expectations, particularly with Chicano and Latino culture. She highlights how these norms can limit individual expression, particularly for Chicana lesbians, and she calls for dismantling of such norms. Then she speaks about colonialist ideals, where she explores the lasting impact of colonialism on the identities and cultures of Chicano and Latino communities. She critiques the Eurocentric values and structures imposed by colonial forces, emphasizing the need to resist and reclaim indigenous and Mestiza identities. Anzaldúa's work encourages a decolonial perspective that challenges the dominance of colonial ideals. In essence, she critiques traditional gender norms and colonialist ideals as a callback to break free from oppressive structures that limit individual and cultural expression. She advocates for a more inclusive and accepting society that celebrates diversity and empowers individuals to embrace their multifaceted identities. Isn't it crazy how Anzaldúa was born in 1947 and we're still dealing with this stuff? It's incredible. Like,
It is.
Like, how far have we gone since Anzaldúa? It hasn't changed much.
No.
I think it's gotten worse, to the censorship and the repression. You know, look at what they're doing with critical race theory and what they're doing in Florida.
So in activity 4, we're going to reflect on challenging norms. I want you to reflect on your personal experience, taking a moment, taking this opportunity to share your personal stories and explore how you've defied conventions or norms that didn't align with your identity. And the writing prompt is: think of a moment in your life when you challenged societal norms or expectations related to your gender, your cultural
Angy,
identity.
sorry, you're not sharing.
Oh, I am so sorry. Damn, you guys let me get too far before saying you're not sharing. But okay. So the activity 4 is reflecting on personal experiences, okay? where you share your personal stories and explore how you've defied conventions or norms that didn't align with your identity. And the writing prompt is, think of a moment in your life when you challenge a societal norm or expectations related to your gender, culture, or identity. It could be a significant or everyday experience. Describe this moment and reflect on how it impacted you and those around you. As you reflect, consider what motivated you to challenge these norms. What obstacles did you face? How did this experience shape your sense of self and your understanding of societal expectations? So, do you guys need me to leave this up?
Yes, please. And maybe can we just go back to the other one for a second, please? Thank you.
So oftentimes I've seen it in my family that we'll go against some normal quote unquote expectations that our family may have of us, and then next thing you know, you're ostracized, right? Because you just don't think the same as the pack. Like, I'm one of those people that I speak to very little folks in my family besides my mom, because I will just get into an argument with people over their backwards thinking, on gender roles, on hair. Like, I still get people that talk about my hair. People, you go into a room, they want to comment about your weight. I'm like, yo, you haven't seen me in 6 months. You don't have anything nice to say? um and a whole bunch of other things that, maybe job wise, right? Maybe you went into a job that your family didn't approve of and just didn't understand how are you going to make money off of this thing. For example, if you are a social media influencer, people just might be, what is that? You can't possibly make money off of that, and a host of other things that, Kari might have a bunch from the church. Also societal norms that maybe you dress a certain way or speak a certain way. So we're gonna do 5 minutes on this one. And this is the last activity, by the way. You need me to show the writing prompt again? This is a terrible topic. Okay. Who wants to share? I'm gonna stop the. Gloria is like, this feels like so much of her life. Well, yeah, we could, I think, this topic in itself is something that we could all relate to no matter what background we're from. Language, culture, identity. Who wants to go first? Carmen, is that your hand raised for now or from before? For now?
Now.
Go ahead.
Okay, I gotta take my headphones off. My sound is good?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the personal experience, when the father of my children and I broke up after 18 years of being, wait, am I just reading it or am I sharing, just talking about it?
Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
When the father of my 3 children and I broke up after 18 years of being together, unlike other times before, I decided to move out of the home we shared with our children. I moved out alone while he stayed in the home with the children. That was me defining the norm. Although in that moment, I didn't see it as that. When I left, what motivated my decision was love for my children and for their well-being. I understood that I was the one who needed to reshape my life, my entire life. And the only way that I could do that was to leave. And that was the only way for me to be the best mother for them. As I was finding my true self and honoring that with them. The challenges that I faced was a lot of pushback from the women in my life, especially my mother and the boys' paternal grandmother. During this time, I was also exploring my sexuality. I would hear things like children belong with their mother, and are you all of a sudden gay? This experience absolutely shaped my sense of understanding of societal norms, expectations, because everyone was looking at my life from the place of what it should be rather than how I as a person was exploring and defining my own life.
Thank you, Carmen. How do you feel about your decision today?
I feel great.
Did your
Yeah.
family, did your family end up shutting up eventually?
Yeah. No, they did. And I found what I found throughout this is like I had to do a lot of education. I found myself in a place of really educating not only my mother, and helping her defy norms. Because I feel like it was easier with the children, like really looking, and it was hard because I'm like, I had to rebuild my relationship with my children, not like I'm your mom, you're my children, but I'm a human being, you're a human being. And how can I help you as an individual as you're getting older before
Right.
having children,
Right.
find out who your truest sense of self is up to this point.
Right.
So
Which
yeah,
would
so
never occur to our parents.
not at all.
That
My
would
mom was like,
never ever cross their mind.
oh my God. Every week, my mother would ask me, ¿Y tú vas a ver los muchachos este fin de semana? ¿Y los muchachos vienen para acá? I don't know. I gotta talk to their
Make
dad.
sure that you're mothering.
Yes. I'm not that I'm a detached person, but I know that my children don't belong to me. Like they came through me, but they're not mine. So like I raise my children very like you are your own person. I'm just here to guide you through your process. So like I'm not like, ay, que mis hijos, mi pollito, like come to me, come live with me, come under my wing. Like that's not how I mother. So I think like that was definitely a culture shock for a lot of people. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why are you like that?
You've
But I
abandoned your
think like,
kids. You're a
yeah,
bad
you
mother.
abandon your kid. What's wrong? But I do have to
Even
say,
though they're with their father, being taken care
Oh,
of.
but that's not the
They're,
same.
yeah.
If
So
that's a
like
cardinal sin, like what?
yeah, I did make a
so
note to
going
myself
back
here.
to what Eduardo was sharing
Mhm.
before, that people don't care about men, that's something else that we see, right? That the
Yeah.
father can't be just as good as a parent as the mom. And God forbid you leave those kids in the hands of the dad. Like,
They're just babysitting.
insane. But thank you for sharing. Eduardo was sharing in the chat that same for him. He was able to keep up appearances for a long time. Shape shifting and people pleasing and code switching are baked into the immigrant experience, but it was exhausting to keep up experience for the sake of other people. I get it, man. I totally get it. Who wants to share? Who else wants to share? Jahaira, you seem to have
I have a lot to say
your
today. I don't
venting
know.
moment,
I don't
Jahaira.
know. I've had 3 cups of coffee, so so with me, like I wrote on the chat, I destroyed pretty much all expectations with my family. I am the opposite of everything that they were hoping that I'd be. Even though I try to conform, just like I think most of us. I think, at the end of the day, we love our families and we want to, want them to be pleased with us. But just in the same way, when I came out as gay, my son was 5 years old, and that was, there was a whole thing of how I'm damaging him by being true to myself in that way. And the way that I the way that I responded to all of that was pretty much with anger. Anger helped me. I embraced that feeling because it helped me sort of advocate for myself with my family. I was very defiant. My mother told me once that if I cut my hair off, that I wasn't allowed to set foot in her house. So the very next day I went and cut off all my hair off, and I showed up at her house, and I dared her to choose my hair over me. My mom, to her credit, my mom has grown a lot. Just like Carmen, I've been sort of educating her and helping her grow in her experience and the things that she never thought that she'd be. I mean, she absolutely, I feel like she loves my wife more than she loves me.
Yeah, she probably
that's
defends you now.
Oh, absolutely. My mom does. But all the stereotypical things, the fact that I'm in therapy, the fact that I gave up religion, which is huge. I mean, my mother literally is in church right now. And I could never, I've embraced more of like a indigenous forms of connecting to source instead of to dogma and to all of that guilt and shame and misogyny and cruelty of a colonizing God. So that it, you know, in my family is, you know, it's just strange. So like you were saying, you know, when we first started, I speak very little to most of my family. My mother is probably the only person that I speak with daily. They don't understand me, and I don't wish to be understood by, you know, by judgmental people. So I'm totally fine with that. I'm raising my kids to be a lot freer and to be true to themselves, and to know that even though it's painful and lonely, it is freeing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't expect them to, you know, to go through anything like this. I didn't set out to be like a like this beacon of, you know, of justice in the family. I just wanted to live my life the way that I best saw fit. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Cesar, you haven't shared on any of the activities. Do you have anything to share with us?
Angie, it says that is a friend of mine. He's new to this. He's a writer too. We were chatting privately, and he said he's listening, he's getting informed. He's just, you know, it's his first time, so he's getting everything in.
Okay, get
He's
warmed
gonna
in.
get
I hope you come back, Cesar.
He's gonna come back.
Anyone else wants to share?
I'd like to share.
Gloria, it's first.
Go ahead, Gloria.
Embracing Chicanismo and not assimilating to a white girl mind think shocked my mother. Her response was, "How can you call yourself that? How can you call yourself a Mexican?" She'd always ask that question / remark, because after all, she wasn't really interested in hearing my answer. It was easier for Mom to identify as a white American because her skin was alabaster white, which meant she couldn't go out in the sun. And her eyes were green, and her long brown hair made her kind of look white. So then Mom's next predictable statement was, "Why do you want to identify with that old man, that old dirty man?" And this was her name for our father, and this was how she identified him. So to be identified as Mexican was to be identified with that old dirty man. And Chicanismo was close enough to him that she hated it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of my writing. Yeah, the conflict. Yeah.
Jennifer, you wanted to share?
Okay. So to be my authentic self, to heal and change for myself, to make the necessary changes for my own happiness, to break up a committed long-term relationship and be a single mom by choice, ignoring the comments of he is a good man with money, by dressing the way I want. Every day I dress differently, by decorating my house the way I like it, by cutting my hair and not leaving it long and straight, by not going to the Dominican hair salon, by simply writing and having ambition to write a book, and completely ignoring and not listening to my mom comments about that doesn't make any money. What are you doing? And by just listening to my own intuition and believing in myself the best way that I can, and just keep pushing and continue to break the cycle break. I mean, continue to break and be a cycle breaker for my own self, because I already broke a lot of patterns from my background. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, everyone. We have reached the conclusion of this workshop. Thank you for joining us, embracing your identity, celebrating your culture, and challenging norms. Please go out there and read Gloria Anzaldúa's work. You know, it serves as a source of inspiration and empowerment, and urges us to continue exploring borderlands where identities are complex and fluid. I hope you like the workshop. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Cesar, as Eduardo was saying, he didn't speak for the first 2 months because he felt intimidated by a group of women in this workshop. We're trying to bring more guys in, you know. For the past 2 weeks, we've had a different guy join us. I'm about to go through the registrations and hit them up and be like, you're not coming back? Or I'm gonna
Angie,
put you, Eduardo, I'm gonna put you to email them and say, guys, it's lonely over here. Come back.
great workshop, Angie. Great workshop.
Copying. I'll be a representative. Intimidated isn't the word. More like a